What's up, y'all? So, I decided to do this topic in regards to what am I going to prepare for as far as, a possible early off season. Meaning, if I do get eliminated next week on Tuesday, let's say, if it does happen, what day would that be? November 11th? Oh, shout out to Larry. His birthday is on that day. But yeah, I think Veterans Day, if I'm not mistaken, is on the 10th. That's a Monday. And on Tuesday, the 11th, that will be, well, first and foremost, that will be 7 days earlier from last year's playoff exit, which did happen in the semifinals. That was on November 18th, and that was on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And that got me to, the off season. And, for this one here, although it is only the first round, if it wasn't for all the, so much happening to where I've had to postpone so many games, like toward the end of the regular season, and even in the first round, my BER season first round could have started on time, right at the beginning of October. You know what I'm saying? So, and right now, by mid-November, or at least beginning to mid-November, it could already have been the semifinals. You know what I'm saying? The semifinals round. But yeah, man. So anyways, with this topic right here, I just want to pose the question, what will I be doing in this early off season? Now, granted, it is already November, right? There's some good and there's some bad, right? Of course, let's start with the bad. Well, I'm not going to be playing any more basketball until next year in January, most likely, assuming that I'm still in this dump. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the bad, but when it's not really that bad for me, right? And here's the reason why, as I get into the good of it, right? So the good for that is, let's say I do get eliminated on the 11th, which is game 9 in Heritage Park. When the off season starts, I can have plenty of opportunities to make the most of, the rest of the year, like doing my Christmas crafting. You know what I'm saying? I can do some of that, even a little bit of shopping for some Christmas crafting, right? Hell, I gotta do myself some job hunting as well. You know how much I want to get out of this dump, all right? And I could prioritize that now that I would be in the off season. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, I don't want to, for me personally, I don't want to intentionally just, be loose in game 9 and just losing a blowout like that. Of course not. But of course the game is going to be harder. I do want to compete still, but I'm just saying, after a while, if I do get eliminated and, let's say after a week, and it's not going to feel the same, just with, just not shooting hoops for a while, you know what I'm saying? So look, when it comes to preparing for this early exit, going to the early off season, I can see it in a good way, in that now I can definitely focus more on myself, because that's what I've had to deal with all 20-25 year long. Considering how my outside life has been going, even during my regular season, which has been fantastic. You know, it's just well, here's another bad thing to point out, and of course, the obvious is to have an early exit like that, and considering how many wins I've had, you know, a drastic improvement from what it was last year, to have almost 90 wins, bro. What is it, 88 and 36? I know I lost the last two, but just imagine, dude, 88 wins versus 67 last year. At least with 67 last year, I was able to get to the second round, barely, if it wasn't for that epic buzzer-beating 3, you know, to finish off Game 10, you know, to advance. Then, you know, who knows if I would have, you know, won in Game 11 or not. Now, that game would be super pressuring, but here, at most, I would have to win in the Game 11 to advance, right? Now, you know, that, at least, like, looking on the dark side, you know, another bad thing to point out is obviously for a season like I've had my regular season, to exit in the first round. Look, this series, I never said it was easy. I just said I hoped I didn't get Zimmerman Park, which is going to be the much harder series, considering how many under the basket layups I would have to make. You know what I'm saying? And you know the concept of half shot and then going to a full shot if I make the mid range, this and that's much harder than you think, you know, mentally. But you know, I'm glad they didn't pick that. But at the same time, I have a series where it's much where I would be required to make a lot of threes in rotation with the other types of shots. So, you know, it's a lot, really. I mean, it's as the series progresses, you know, does that can affect the consistency of, you know, shooting threes, you know, as it will, you know, it will affect your rhythm in a way that, you know, because you're doing this every single game. You know, had this been a regular season where every activity is different, you know, then, you know, for this one it's you know, it's different because you gotta play the same thing. There's more limits going in, and there's going to be some switch ups, and the game's going to be much harder. I mean, I get it, but bro, to have an early exit like that, it's no bueno, dude. And it's not just no bueno, it's gotta be a devastating exit. Think about it. First round exit, and you have a much better season. We're both records phenomenal at home and on the road, right? Well, I mean, I can see the good in that I'll have more time for myself, but again, I don't want to go through, you know, I don't want to go through another I don't want to go through an early playoff exit like that, to where it's the first round despite having almost 90 wins, and you know, to have a magical regular season like that. It's the regular season's different. I mean, the playoffs is different from the regular season, man. It's you can be as good as you are in the regular season, but in the playoffs, it's totally different. And trust me, it does feel different that you have to play the same thing. It can be fun. It can be not so fun. I mean, it just all depends on how you just, you know, maintain your composure. And now I'm at the point where elimination is coming, and I better hope that I can stay put, or else it is gonna get worse. I mean, so I'll explain what Game 9 is, for for next week, and it's gonna get much harder. So, all right, peace.